So today we're going to talk about a very touchy topic, but I really want true answers on this one. And I thought about this one a lot. So maybe you guys can add on to it. But we're going to talk a lot about science and religion. So I grew up in a Christian household. So I grew up in a country that's primarily Christian, which is America. And I was born in a country that was primarily Buddhist and Muslim, but I was still Christian over there. But regardless, over time, as I've been growing as an adult, I've grown to accept the more scientific approach to life. And there's a few arguments that I'm going to give, and these arguments are in order, and they're going to tell you why I became more an atheistic, right? Now, I believe that the universe is like infinite. We're going to start with this. This matters a lot. I believe that it's infinite. So, I mean, I think it's just, if you really look up how the science is on the cosmetology of the world, it's ridiculous. It's infinite, right? So if the universe is infinite, that means it's infinite possibilities. That means an omnipotent, omnipower, omniscient God should exist because that's what infinity allows for. If it's possible, which that is possible, it should exist. Now, that just means like God is real. So when I'm talking about God in this video, I'm talking about the capital G God, right? So the one from Christian background. So we're not going to argue about God's existence because if we're talking about omnipotent, omnipresent God, I think that's real. But now let's get into the argument for atheism for the capital G God, right? I'm going to start with amnesia. If you were a good person, great person, and you were a believer of God and Jesus and all the requirements to make it to heaven, and then you had amnesia and became a bad person, like you became a murderer, you became a child trafficker, I don't know, horrible things. How do you judge that soul in heaven? Do you condemn him to hell? Do you send him to heaven? How do you do it? And some people may just think like the very cruel way of like just condemning him to hell, because think about the people that existed before Jesus, right? Like around like the people that were with Moses, the people that were with Abraham. Do they just go to hell, right? Because they didn't even get an opportunity to go to heaven, right? Kind of a cruelty of the Bible. Maybe there's a way for it, because I remember in the Bible, Jesus actually goes back and picks up Moses' soul from the mountains, right? I think that's biblically true. Someone can fact check me, but so that means it implies that the other souls were not saved, right? So that's where I'm coming up with this conclusion. Second, after amnesia, right, we have identity, how fragile identity is. So I'm 24 years old, and 10 years ago I was 14, and I was such a different person. And I can only imagine how different I'll be at 34, at 44, at 54, right? So in heaven, which version of you is most true? Which version of you do you live as? Do you live as a teen? Do you live as a young adult? Do you live as a 50-year-old? And a lot of Christians that I talk to will say, well, your body doesn't go to heaven, your soul does, which is fair. But how do you think? What mindset do you use in heaven? Right? As a 24-year-old, I have different interests than a 14-year-old. I want to play on a PlayStation as a 14-year-old. As a 24-year-old, I'd rather be playing tennis with my friends, just going out. You see? So it's different mindsets. And the third one falls into the soul now. So now we have, okay, your soul goes to heaven. But your soul is like this mental surgery, because you're going to get sin removed, right? And I think I live a good life. I'm very honest. I don't do anything bad, right? But I do sin pertaining to the Bible. I drink sometimes. I do other sins too. Sometimes I may lie. Um, but when you remove those things, I am no longer me, because those things are me. My imperfections are me. If you were to play mental surgery and you were to average out this person, he would no longer be any version of himself. He would just be a new person. It's very scary to think that way. It's like the Theseus ship. But it's different because you're a different person. It's like mental surgery, right? Like when you go to heaven and your soul, if you're not even yourself that you were in earth and you're a different person, why does it even matter? Does that make sense? It's kind of weird to think about. And I'll give you another example. It's this teleporter example. So if you think about like a Star Trek teleporter, you go from a teleporter is basically you go in this little chamber, you teleport from one chamber to the second chamber, right? Very quick. Now imagine you remove the second action of the teleporter. So you get in one chamber, you disintegrate, you go into like the cyberspace. The thing removes you atom by atom, but it doesn't spawn you again, right? What happens? You essentially just die. Now, what happens if we remove the first act of the teleporter but keep the second? So you go in this chamber and it creates a second version of you, right? Because you got to keep in mind the teleporter, however way it works, if it's removing you atom by atom, somehow it's transferring that information somehow and rebuilding you atom by atom at a different location, right? So now if you are in this teleporter, you stay there, but then a second version of you spawns, but then someone says we can't have that. One of you have to die, but you choose. Who do you choose? Do you kill yourself and let that person live, or do you kill that person? You see what I'm saying? Because if you really think about it, you'd be inclined to kill the person that just showed up because you're here. He just showed up. No, get rid of that guy. You see what I'm saying? But then you gotta think, what is the authenticity of that person that's spawning? So this is how fragile identity is. You can be constant. You can be the same person from one teleporter to the next, but it's not the same person because it's not. Because if you remove someone atom by atom and rebuild them atom by atom, however way you do it, right? Maybe molecule by molecule, tissue by tissue. I don't care how you do it. No matter what, if you do that, the human dies. But if you were to keep that person alive, all the same memories, all of that things, I don't think it's quite the same person because of that the teleporter analogy, right? Because if you had to choose who lives, you wouldn't have an easy decision. If you ever watched the movie Prestige, that's a good movie for this kind of topic, but not topic, but this teleporting thought experiment. But yeah, I think it just doesn't make sense. I think from the amnesia, right, to what version of you will exist to what version of you even is there in heaven, right? It's just very weird. And there's more reasons for me, but this is just the fundamental thing. It's about heaven. It's about what even is it? Is it worth it, right? It sounds ludicrous to say this, but I mean, what even is it? And do you even go? Is it even you that's going to be there, right? I mean, I remember in the Bible it says you don't even remember your family members. Your wife won't even be your wife, right? So is it even if all any of you is even if it's real, is it worth it, right? And that's where I'm at. I don't know. Maybe, and I don't want to hear the preachy like brother save yourself kind of talk because what does that even mean, right? I mean, just give me some logical explanations, maybe, and I'll hear everyone out. Because in reality, I would love for there to be a heaven, and all of us, the good ones, all of us, we all make it there. Hopefully, all of us, we all make it there, and our souls can just live in harmony. I wish that is true, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't add up. It, it just doesn't. But if you guys have something to add and you've thought about something similar, or you can agree, or maybe I change your mind, or maybe you can change my mind, please drop a comment. And once again, we're shooting a video a day. This is a little bit more personal. And if you like a little bit more of these kind of videos, let me know as well. But I'll be making a video a day for the next year. Thank you guys.